Welcome back to Murder Therapy with Doll Talk and Cousin Ashley.
Howdy.
Yeah. So, you all have had a whole week after our first creepy episode. Well, I think all the episodes we do are creepy. I shouldn't say that. Murder's creepy in general. I guess one of our first where we talk strictly about the paranormal, I should say. And I just want to know how many of you all admired my dance moves. Is what I want to know.
I, for one, love them.
I'm glad.
I feel like you should go on Dancing with the Stars. You take it all.
I would. I would. I don't know if it would be for sympathy or if they... Yeah.
God, we feel so bad for her. Just give her the trophy.
Just give it to her. She's a fucking terrible dancer. Get her off of TV.
No need to have the rest of the show. This for one episode, we saw Jodie dancing.
Exactly.
She wins.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So I need to know how many of you all seen it. And of course, people have been asking, like in my live stream, because a lot of people that follow me on TikTok and are active, like, and watch my videos and things have been asking about the chili cook-off. So that has not happened yet. It happens this week. And when me and Ashley were in the process of like getting everything set up to record, Ashley's like, so how's that going? And I'm like, I am marinating the beans right now. Like, shit's getting real at work. Like, there is a divide in our whole hospital. It's not just between me and Mom now. And for some reason, everybody has it against psychology. And I just want to put this on the record to all of my coworkers, if you are listening right now. You could have a psychiatric hospital without psychology.
Yeah.
We're literally the spine to the entire facility.
I mean, facts. Otherwise, it'd just be a place, a building.
A place. It would be a building. Listen, I know. I told my mom that too. I was like, I don't know why everybody's hating on psychology so much right now. I was like, because you couldn't have psychiatric care without psychology. And Mom's like, you couldn't have a house. You couldn't have a house. Gosh, you couldn't have a hospital without housekeeping. I said, I have never said that you all are not essential. Like, if anything, I think that our housekeeping, like, you cannot pay these people enough money for everything that they do, and they're incredible. Like, I love housekeeping. But right this week, they are the enemy right now.
They are the chilly enemy.
I just gotta say, like, I don't even... And then, apparently, now social work has it out for me. Oh. Yeah, like, social work, yeah. I mean, this is becoming a big thing. So, I share an office with little Dana. Everybody loves Dana. She's retired. She works part-time. She probably thinks I'm weird as hell. She says she likes me. I think she likes me. But I tell her about a weird murder case every day. Like, that's how I greet her. I'm like, good morning, Dana. This is what I'm going to talk to you about. And she's like, okay.
God, little sweet thing. She just goes along with it. I love it.
She does. But, she has discussed the Menendez brothers case with me a lot, which we do have an update there. But, yeah, she does. Well, she knows, like, I'm so into this. So I get texts from Dana about, like, true crime things or whatever. But anywho, so little Dana has been put in charge of social work, okay? And so she's like, you're going down. She's like, you're not going to win, and your mom's not going to win. Yeah, I know. It's getting real. She's like, because I'm going to win. And now the director of social work is threatening to come, like, sabotage my chili. And because they're like, it's not fair. You have, haunted dolls. You've got tarot. And I'm like, well, it's not my fault that you all don't have these things. You're wet. I'm like, don't
You're like,
hate
you guys
me.
are stepping into my realm, okay? It is
Yeah, you're in it's like my Christmas right now. Like, you're in my territory. Don't get mad at me. Like, it's getting real. I mean, the divide, you can feel it. But then you've got Kurt from Texas, okay? Let's face it, Kurt's probably going to win. We're all...
Texans can do chili. Like, I don't know what it is. They're just...
I was like, I've never made chili in my entire life. I'm winging it. And my department has such good faith in me because Beth was like, does it taste good? I said, I don't know. I've never made it. But we're
all going to find out together. That's what...
We're all going to find out together. I know.
So lie to me if it's bad.
Yes, yeah, tell me. But my Nathan is like very insistent that this is like the best chili ever and that this is going to be the chili that wins. However,
Okay.
I'm determined none of us are going to win because we have people from Texas that are competing in this and they're all about chili. We know that.
I feel like
Okay,
it's just
so
a given competitive nature when chili is being made. Like Lucy has, we call it burn your butthole chili. I don't touch it because I like heat, but if it like
I have
sets
my
my
limits.
yeah, if it sets my mouth on fire and I can't taste anything else, I can't. I can't. I'm a baby. And then Ryan, she calls Ryan's vegetable soup because Ryan has a bad stomach, ulcers, all the
Right.
things.
He has to watch what he eats.
Yes,
Yes.
so he uses vegetable juice instead of tomato juice. And Lucy, they rag on each other all the time. But yeah, so we just don't eat chili with each other.
I think I was more sold. Of course, I'm all about contributing to this disaster relief, like what we're doing. I think it's great. But I think they had me sold that we're doing this on Halloween, and I was like, yes. And so
And it comes
everybody
with a
is
bonus of
like,
helping people.
they were like, no one's going to come to your table. You have creepy dolls. I was like, no, no. I know for a fact that I know, and you know, Ashley, morbid curiosity.
Mm,
Morbid
indeed.
curiosity. I haven't made up my mind which one of all of these. Of course, the girls are coming. They're the favorites. They know that they're coming. But I haven't made up my mind what the other one is that's coming yet. But I thought about taking Ira just for show because yeah. But Ira doesn't like people gawking at her, so
Oh, fair. Yeah, and you don't want to make her
yes.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
No, but I do want to make other people uncomfortable. That's fine.
And we were talking
It's
about
fine.
trick or treat. Halloween
Yes.
episode, trick or treat. Jody's going to take her kids out. Her youngest is going to be a little weenie. Or her
He
youngest boy.
literally.
Sorry. And then
Yes. Well,
Cora is the cutest little bat
yes.
ever.
Yes. So Cora's daycare did a trunk or treat. So we did that the other day. And then of course Colin has decided he's like, I'm not dressing up. But he does want to go and see Cora's first Halloween, which I think is really sweet.
So
Yeah. I mean, he's
sweet.
such a good kid. Such a good kid. And then I guess Jay doesn't trick or treat anymore, does he?
He said this is gonna be his last year, but I have that mentality where, and a lot of people around here do. There could be worse things that older kids are out here doing.
Absolutely.
Give them
I
freaking
would
candy.
rather.
Like,
Well, that's the way I look at it. If they want to paint their face, then go trick or treat. I'm fine with that. That's a lot better than them going to like Halloween parties, drinking and driving, and just all those. You know what
that's
I
what
mean?
he's doing. He's
Unless it's
painting
a
his
Halloween
face with
party
like
where,
weird
yeah,
clown makeup, and then he's going trick or treating in a different neighborhood. But unfortunately, we're not going to be as lucky as you, Jody, because we've got terrible weather coming our way. And Jody will probably get it the next day if it follows her
yeah.
way. But we've got 30-mile-per-hour winds and rain, and it makes me a little bit nervous because I will say, the house, fun little Halloween story. The house that I live in now, if you cross the street and go 2 buildings down, it starts some just like 2 or 3 doubles on this street, and then there's like a little cul-de-sac with like 3 more doubles. And I lived in one of those doubles, Ryan and I did, when Jaden was like 4. And we
Was
took,
that the house
yeah,
with the tornado? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Continue.
So
Sorry.
we took them out trick or treating on Halloween night, and it was really dreary, and it just spit rain the whole time we were out, but no thunder, no lightning, no nothing. And I then took him to a church trick or treat thing because it was so miserable. I wanted to make it a little bit better. So we took him to that. I came home, we ate really late, and I put him to bed. And there was like a weird sound. The rain started picking up, the wind started picking up. I'm like, what is that? And I run to the door. I see this huge flash of light. And then I ran back to get Ryan. So I was like, you got to come see this. Like, the wind's gotten crazy. And when I turned around to go get Ryan, I hear our door shatter. And my neighbor in the double, literally, that shares a driveway with us, their table came like out and around. Like it did like a 90 degree turns and went into our door. And then the double behind us, including our garage to our unit, destroyed. Like, and it was just like a tornado, F1 tornado that just dropped down, picked up, dropped down, and picked up and was gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we were out of our house for a month.
We had a tornado. I want to say it's been over. No, it's about 2 years ago, and me and Nathan were not married yet, but it wasn't a great big one at all. But it did go by the house,
Yeah,
and it sounded
terrifying.
like a freight train when it did. And
I could hear it echo through my dryer. It was bizarre.
Me, the boys. I had Lucy. I had my dolls all in the bathtub. Yeah, and Nathan was outside trying to find it, and I'm like, great.
That's Ryan too. They're two peas and pie. I feel like that's the
really
dad thing to do.
Yeah, y'all stay in the bathtub. And I'm gonna go outside
go check
and look
it out.
for it.
Don't mind me if I get.
I was like,
up.
I remember I was so pissed. I was like cussing him through the door and everything. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
ours destroyed everything when it dropped. I took Jody through it, but we have drive-throughs here. If you're not from Ohio, we have drive-throughs here.
I didn't go through it the last time.
They're convenience stores. It's basically a gas station without the gas pumps. It's stuff like that you see inside there, and you drive through it. You can buy liquor, tobacco, all that stuff that you can get. But you just drive through it, and people come out to your car and get whatever you want. You pay them. They come back with your change, and you don't ever have to get out of your car. And you
need to take notes, Virginia. But anywho,
it's super convenient, especially when you got like a little one sleeping in the back seat. You don't want to get out to go get that stuff. But it destroyed that. So the one you went through was demolished, like to the ground. It imploded a restaurant right next door, all the windows, and then it lifted up and landed right on the double that was behind us and lifted our roof, and it was a mess. So we always get crappy trick or treat weather. It's so annoying.
I hope that this year, maybe it's just windy and that's it. And maybe it won't happen. I hope not. Anyway, I hope not.
Looking good. So,
and I did also want to give us an update as far as the Menendez brothers. The DA has spoke that he is recommending resentencing. Now, people have to understand that it's up to the judge at this point. I believe the recommendation as far as the resentencing means that they will go on, like they'll have to meet with the parole board and all this. So there's still hoops that we have to jump through. It's still a process. They're thinking that I think the goal is to have them home before Thanksgiving.
I hope so.
That's the goal. And I'm hoping so too. And so a lot of people are still like, well, they were grown up, so why didn't they leave? And I will say it again. You do not know how you will react to certain trauma until you have been there through it. Mm-hmm. So shut your mouth.
Shut it.
Shut it. But yeah, that's our updates on the Menendez brothers. Yes. I was literally, Colin had a band competition the day that I got the message that they were having this press conference. And I was literally trying to watch the press conference in between like bands. And my mom was like, really? And I'm like, yes, this is like a historical moment. And it's such a huge moment for people like me who have been through sexual trauma. It's almost, I'm not condoning the murder. I will never say that was okay what they did. But in our world, it's like our voices are finally being heard. And that they're actually taking a stance on how serious like that type of trauma is for people and how the reactions after the meth are very serious. And it's a big deal.
Absolutely.
So I'm super excited about it. But yeah. So as much as I could talk about Eric and Lyle Menendez all day long, and I could, I love them dearly. Like, I'm like, I feel like, yeah. Anywho, we are here to talk about the Greenbrier ghost.
Ooh.
And
I don't know.
Yeah, spooky.
I don't know who it is. I don't.
She doesn't know who this is. Everybody that's listening right now just went shocker. Like,
I know that. I said shocking. I know.
And we are going to the 1800s. We're kicking it old school, yes. So, We are going to an afternoon in the month of January of 1897.
Ooh, man.
I am assuming during this time they were not going through a global warm crisis like we are now. So I imagine that it was colder than a witch's titty that day.
Yeah.
Don't know. I wasn't there, but if I
I
had
would
to
assume.
guess, because we're going to West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it was cold. It had to have been. I think it was cold. Yeah. Anywho, Edward Shue, who was a blacksmith, um, he sent his neighbor's young boy to see if his wife Elva needed anything from the market. He was going to go to the store. So I don't know who this little boy is. This is just what the story says. I didn't find a name because I'm like, why are you hanging out with little kids, Edward? But whatever. Anywho,
Yeah, Edward.
I needed more details. You know how my mind works when I do these things, and
Oh,
unfortunately,
Lord.
I will I'll go through, and I was like, I need to give up on this one little task and continue with the rest of it. But anywho, so the boy goes through the house. He enters the front door. This is in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, by the way. I don't know where that county is right off, so I couldn't tell you. But
I've never
anywho,
heard of it.
they lived in a log house, and he found Elva lying at the foot of the stairs. She's just chilling there, you know. He stood there for a
Alive?
moment, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
He's, don't you lie at the foot of stairs randomly?
Listen, if it's tile or wood, I get it. It's cold. Maybe she was hot.
Why would you need? I don't think she was hot in January of 1897.
Listen, I'm looking at the pictures above us, and those dresses look like they hold some heat, okay?
Well, he looks at her for a moment, and she's just like laying there straight with her legs together, okay? One arm was at her side, the other rested across her chest, and her head was kind of tilted to one side. Okay. He at first thought she was asleep on the floor. I know. Your reaction.
What person in the right mind would do that unless they're like sleepwalking and they're just like,
I mean, if you were drunk, I guess, like, I think I'll crash here, but I don't.
I can't say that I haven't been in those. Okay, we're just.
I don't think that she was in this predicament, but anywho.
I don't think she was drunk.
He just kind of standing there and observing and assessing the situation, as one would. I probably would be like, there's something about this very moment does not look correct.
He's like, get up. What? Why are you playing?
Get up. You want something from the store or not?
You look ridiculous.
So he says, Miss Shue, to which she did not respond. And when she didn't respond, the little boy panics because he's like, oh my God, this woman's dead, you know, and he runs next door and tells his mother, and his mother immediately contacted local doctor because, you know, back then they had doctors that would come to the home. I don't know how a doctor was going to solve this situation, but they called the doctor, and they called the coroner.
Got lazy. We got to go to them.
Yeah, I know. Y'all need... Damn it. But anywho, they called the local coroner, who was George Knapp at the time. Now, Knapp did not arrive to the Shue's home. It took a little over an hour for them to get there. Could you imagine in today's time if you called about the fact that you found a dead body in your home? It wouldn't take an hour for them to get there.
It wouldn't take an hour for, like, police and, like, EMTs to, come and confirm. But, like, the coroner, yeah, I think would take an hour.
Well, yeah, maybe the coroner, but, but I don't...
Other people to get there, definitely not.
Yeah, well, it took them an hour. And by the time he got there, Elva's husband, Edward, had already took her body upstairs. Yes. So there's so much wrong with this already. Obviously, we know you don't mess with the body. The coroner needs to do that because you have just fucked with every piece of evidence and butchered everything. Not only did he carry her to the bedroom, he washed and dressed her.
What?
The look on your... Yes, he
What?
washed and dressed her and laid her out on the bed. Yes.
Okay.
It's like he had
That's weird.
already prepped her for burial, if that makes sense. Like it's like he's doing what the funeral home's job would be. Which is really bizarre.
Yeah, that's super bizarre.
Because I feel like if that was me, either Nathan's going to be celebrating ecstatically that I'm gone, or he's no, he wouldn't.
Ding
My
dong,
my
witch is
husband,
dead.
yeah,
Wicked witch.
my husband would. That's definitely not what my husband would have done. He probably would be acting like a crazy person. I'm not gonna lie, but because he was sad and upset and all the things. But he damn sure wouldn't have been like, "Oh, you're here for Jody. I bathed her. I've laid her out on the bed.
She's
She's
all
just
ready
in there.
for you.
She's ready. You don't even have to embalm her. Just put her in the casket, and we're good to go." That's
Can we do the
nothing about
funeral
that is
now?
normal.
Save you some time.
Yeah, I'm good. We don't got to have anybody.
Yeah.
We can just go ahead and do this. This can be solo. But yeah, so he had already. It's like he already had her body ready for burial. And not only that, he had a really high-necked dress with a really stiff collar and placed a veil over her face.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Now,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know anything about the time, so I'm not. It's weird to today's standards.
I don't even think in the 1800s that this was appropriate.
Okay.
Maybe in the 1600s, but I feel like they kind of excelled with time by the 1800s, and I just don't think, and even like I don't think, I don't know, maybe we need to Google how funeral homes did things and how I feel like, I don't know.
Did they have
I'm
funeral
just gonna
homes? Well, I mean, they had a coroner.
They did. They had funeral homes.
Okay.
I don't know if they had all the like things that we have now.
We're not professionals,
but
you guys, and I'm so sorry. This is like taking me back to does the 20s have cars situation.
Oh my god.
They did have cars.
They did. They were just coming around. All right. So, of course, the coroner, George Knapp, he's got to examine the body, right? Like, that's their whole job, is we need to determine how this young woman, because she was young, I don't know her exact age, but how does one woman end up at the foot of the stairs, laying perfectly still and not waking back up? That's bizarre. So,
it's a very classy way to go.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But she did have like one arm on her chest and one arm by her side, and her head kind of tilted, like.
I did.
So here they're trying to examine the body, but Edward is literally cradling his wife's head the whole time that they're trying to check everything out. And when they went to examine the upper part of the body, Edward gets pissed. Yes. He would like get really agitated, and it's like he didn't want to let go.
Why, Edward? Why? What are you hiding?
Why? So George he didn't want to provoke Edward anymore, right? He's like, I'm just going to let this go. So he deemed Elva's death with natural causes. The cause of death that he listed, are you ready? Everlasting faint. Apparently she fainted like that. And then it ended up changing to complications from pregnancy. Now, whether or not if she was really pregnant, I cannot say yay or no to that. But times have evolved. Go ahead.
Everlasting faint. I'm going to go around now. Everybody that dies has fainted forever.
Everlasting. Yeah. I need you to use that in a sentence this week.
I'm going to use it in a modern form.
So, Elva's body was taken to her childhood home of Little Soul Mountain, and that's where she was buried at.
Okay.
Okay. Um, they had a very bizarre funeral though beforehand. Okay. So Edward was acting very erratic. He would pace back and forth in front of her casket and was continuously going to the casket, checking her neck.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
He would fiddle with it and kind of like make adjustments. And he was like propping things up behind her and adjusting her collar. And some people looked at this like he's grieving. But he was very fixated on the head. And when people would go up, some people, when they're mourning the loss of their loved ones, they might go up and touch their hands, or kiss them on the cheek. There's people grieve in different ways. He would go right back and like readjust things. Again,
So
yes,
weird.
yes. Now, he also, a big thing was the dress that she was buried in. He had a scarf around her neck that didn't match the dress at all. And yeah, but he was insistent that she was going to go 6 feet deep with this scarf that didn't match her dress at all.
This is
Yeah,
weird.
he was.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. You're like, this is so weird. I knew you would like this one. Um, Now, Edward was generally really liked in the community. And town had no suspicions. They looked at this like he's grieving, he's sad, he just wants to make sure she looks the best that she possibly could get, look, given the circumstances. Except one person. There was one person that was like, I hate that son of a bitch, and that was Elva's mother. And yes,
Dang.
she had never liked Edward. From the time she met him, she despised him. And even though her daughter's death was deemed of natural causes, right? She was persistent that Edward was responsible for her daughter's death.
What?
Yes. She was convinced that Edward was a murderer and that he had killed her daughter.
He's looking pretty
So,
sus. So.
yeah, well, we obviously, in today's time, if that would have happened, he would have been arrested immediately. But you got to think of the era that we're
God,
in.
the things they could get away with back then.
Oh, yeah, I know. So, they have the funeral. They go ahead. They've buried Elva, but this is really bothering Mary Jane Heaster. So, Mary Jane is Elva's mother. Okay. And I'm sure she's grieving. That I can't imagine having to bury one of your children ever, no matter how old you are. I just don't think that morally that's normal. That a parent bury their child before they go. Like that's just not moral to me. But I've never had to experience it. I never want to experience it. But yeah, so she's praying that Elva somehow be able to come back to her and tell her what happened. And I'm sure she did have a lot of unanswered questions. She's a grieving mom. And she prayed every single evening for weeks. And then one day her prayer was answered.
Stop.
I love it. You're like, stop.
You just pray for her to come to you. She took her time.
She did. She sure did. Well, yeah. All right. So Mary Jane said that one night her daughter appeared to her in a dream, and this happened 4 nights in a row, like back to back to back. And this spirit appeared first as like a bright light, gradually taking to human form, and filling the room like with a really low temperature, like it was really cold. Of course, we're also well, I guess if it's weeks, you're past January, but it's still a cold time. Global warming wasn't
February's
going on
rough.
right then. So, yeah, February is pretty rough. So, it was probably cold. But she said it got colder. So, yeah. Okay. Anywho, she said that Elva's ghost confessed to her mother that Edward was extremely abusive with
Mm.
her. And that one night he attacked her in a rage when he thought that she had not made any meat for dinner. The look on your face.
How chauvinistic. Oh, okay. Let's.
Yes. So she says that he had broke her neck. Um, and as she was telling this, Mary Jane explained that her daughter's apparition's head literally turned completely around and would leave the room. So, like, the back, with like, this head is, like, basically turned completely around
Ugh.
to, yeah,
And
that
she's
would
leaving
be,
the room?
yeah. And then as she leaves the room.
All right. Ugh. Okay. That's
Yeah.
creepy.
Okay. While staring, yeah, and she's just staring back at her mother as she's leaving the room like that.
Ugh.
Now, this happened again 4 nights in a row. And Mary Jane is convinced that Edward is a cold blooded murderer. So she takes it to the local prosecutor. She legit takes this story. Could you imagine in today's time if you went and reported, I know that Ryan killed somebody because their ghost came to me? Don't get me wrong, I believe in the paranormal and I believe in communication with the other side, but could you imagine taking this story in today's time to the
No, they'd end up in
prosecutor
your
to be
facility.
yeah, they would in a heartbeat. They'd be like, I need you to hold on to that thought while we make some phone calls.
We'll be right back. Just
We'll be
have a
right
seat.
back. So John Preston was the local prosecutor at that time. And they spent the afternoon at his office. She's doing everything she can to get him to reopen Elva's case. Because remember, Elva was deemed dead by natural causes.
Right.
Okay. Now, whether or not John Preston actually believed this whole story that Elva's ghost had appeared and, she's saying that he killed me and all this, we don't know if he actually believed this story that Mary Jane was saying. But it was enough evidence that he did reopen the case. He was like,
Wow.
there is some suspicion there. There's some shady shit.
He acted a bit
So
weird.
he was acting a little weird, and Edward's neighbors and friends had told Preston about how erotic he was acting at the funeral and how the doctor, the coroner, wasn't able to complete his examination because he was coddling the head.
Hold on, I
What?
got it. So you said he's acting erotic. Is it erratic?
Yes, erratic. God,
Erotic
sorry.
is
Whatever. He's
nasty.
acting like a fucking crazy.
What
Yeah,
was he doing
well,
with
he
that
was.
ghost?
Well, he was a nasty person. But anywho.
Sorry, I wanted to correct that before people think
No,
we're
you're
pervs.
good. Yes. Yeah, well, yeah.
He was a
He
perv.
was a pervert. He was a perv. But I don't really know if he was a perv. But in my world, he's a perv. But he gets the case reopened. And it's enough to have Elva's body exhumed.
Oh,
They're getting,
wow.
yes, they're getting the body out because they're going to perform an autopsy. And of course, Edward is very argumentative and very pissed off that they're doing this. And he's demanding, he's like, that's my wife. You can't do that. And they're like, bitch, hold my beer. Watch us. Like, yeah.
Why didn't they do one
they've
in the first
exhumed her.
place? That's so bizarre.
Well, because I guess the coroner didn't want to argue with the husband the way he was acting. Maybe, of course, we've got very limited details on the case, but given the time, I'm sure you're in this man's home with this person and he's just like coddling her. He probably was just like, I don't want to fool with this.
I think
Even though
since
that's
it wasn't a case
totally
at
not
the
appropriate.
time, maybe he had a say in if they did or not as well. And now police are
Yeah.
in place. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Things are a lot different now than what it was back then. But now Knapp, the George Knapp, the original coroner, he's back involved in this again. And two other doctors. Guess where they performed this autopsy?
in his house.
At the schoolhouse.
Oh, what? No, what in
Yes.
the world? Why?
They did it in a one room schoolhouse because remember back then you just had that one little room all day long.
Oh, fair.
During that, yep, they did it at the schoolhouse, and did a very
Ugh.
thorough examination. Now the Pocahontas Times, which was the paper then, they reported, this is a quote by them, on the throat there were marks of fingers indicating that she had been choking, that the neck was dislocated between the first and second vertebrae, the ligaments were torn and ruptured, and the windpipe had been crushed at a point in front of the neck.
Jesus, all over a roast.
All over.
She served him
So,
just the carrots and potatoes.
and apparently he is not a vegetarian. He was not pleased with that at all. It was very evident in that time, though, that Elva's death was not natural causes. Like,
Yeah.
she did not die from complications of pregnancy. That would have had to been some fucking terrible acid reflux if it was, like, but that was not the case. But they still, in that time, even though we're all like, Edward did it, right? In that time, there was no evidence pointing to a killer because they didn't have witnesses. This is all hearsay at this point, right? Obviously, and we know it. Even if the spouse is innocent in today's time, if something happens, the spouse is always your first suspect, no matter what.
Always.
Always. Edward's strange behavior since Elva's death, though, had really struck with Preston, the prosecutor. And this is what cast his suspicion towards him. Now, Elva's mother had described exactly how her daughter had been killed before an autopsy was ever done.
Jeez Louise.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So then
Let her out the
people
loony bin.
are
She's telling the
like,
truth.
maybe, well, people thought maybe she was a suspect. That maybe she was responsible because she's recanting that her neck was broke. So what if Mary Jane done it instead of Edward? But then they're like, maybe the ghost story was just an elaborate plot to to frame Edward because she didn't like Edward.
Yeah.
So you've got all these
Possibilities. Oh.
So Preston is doing some digging. He's investigating. He decides that he's going to look into Edward's past. He's going to do some digging. And he learns that Edward had been married twice before. The first ended in divorce while she was in prison for stealing a horse. Yes, he stole a horse, Ashley. I see the wheels turning.
Wait, he did or she did?
No, Edward stole a horse.
Oh, well, I mean.
So, and she
It's their
ended
form of
it.
stealing cars.
Yes, she was like, I'm not dealing with that. You can take your horse and shove it up your ass. But anywho, so the first ended in divorce while he was in prison for stealing the horse. And that wife ended up coming forward to testify against Edward.
Oh, wow.
Talking about the fact that he was very abusive. Now, mind you, this wife did not know any of the story that Elva had reported that her daughter, spirit and apparition, had came forward and said. But she's testifying to and telling police he was very abusive.
You're in trouble.
She explained, she said that he was very violent and beat her frequently while they were married. Until, of course, he went to prison for stealing a horse. Now, his second marriage ended just after 8 months with a mysterious death of his wife.
Hmm.
Yes. Um, and in between those marriages, Edward boasted in prison that he planned to marry 7 women in his lifetime. What a fucking goal to have.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
I'm shocked because Ryan said if we don't make it, he's never getting married again.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
cool.
obviously, his one wife that died, you have that. And then you have this other wife that he had divorced who is saying he was a very violent person and he would beat me on like a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like it could be circumstantial, but it's still enough to build his case with. So
Yeah.
he it was enough to bring him to trial.
Which I'm shocked because back then, I mean, even in the 70s, divorces, I mean, they were there, but it was a rarity. Could you imagine how rare divorces were back then?
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, and I'm sure that they probably honored it more so because he was in prison for theft.
True.
You know what I mean? Not the fact that, not because she was probably coming and, because let's face it, times are changing, well, times have changed. And back then, they didn't care about us like what people care about now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if she went and was like, he's beating me on a regular, I hate to say it, they probably wouldn't have gave a shit. But the fact that he was in prison for stealing a horse, that's probably what ended up resulting in the divorce.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So obviously, the star witness is none other than Elva's mom, Mary Jane. And the only story we have from her is that her daughter's head was twisting in apparition form, telling her, "My husband killed me. He was really abusive."
That
You
is
know.
so cool, though, to think that.
Well, and the prosecutor was like, "I really don't need you getting on the stand telling this story." But she's like, "But this is what happened." Like, she stood by that through and through. And obviously, Edward's attorney knows that what she has reported to the prosecutor. So they're like, "We're going to have a heyday with this." But she did not back down. Like, her story did not change. She was adamant that Elva came to her 4 nights in a row telling her verbatim what he did to her daughter, and that her head literally turned. She's like, "Why would I know that? Like, how would I know that this is what happened?" She was very adamant that this thing happened. And as far as I know, this is the only case that's recorded, correct me if I'm wrong, where a murder victim testified in their own trial. Yeah, like if you look at it.
Awesome.
I mean, if you look at it like that. Well, I think that there's another case out there somebody told me about, so let me recant my statement. I haven't researched it, so I don't know how factual it is, but it was a girl that was burned almost to death, and they got her and got a recording before she died. She ended up dying in the hospital, and they were able to use the recordings in testimony to her case. I don't know all the nitty-gritty details, so let me recant that. Because you got her. If that's factual, I don't know. I'm sure it is. I can't imagine somebody just telling me that for whatever reason. But as far as coming back from the dead and testifying, in a sense, and being a witness, this is the first case I know, and the only case that I know that they've ever allowed paranormal testimony.
I dig it.
I dig it too.
There's tons
I love
of
the
mediums
paranormal
that help solve murders, and like that can stand. Why not?
Maybe I need to do that. I don't know.
You love it.
I would, but I feel like my dolls would just take me on a wild goose chase for the fun of it and laugh at me the whole time because that's how they are. But anywho, obviously, so this, his attorney thinks that this is going to be like, we've got this in the bag because that woman looks insane. And then the prosecutor's like, great, well, we've lost this. And the jury deliberated for exactly 1 hour and 10 minutes, and they found Edward guilty.
Damn.
Yes, they found Edward guilty. Um, so he started serving his time, and as much as we would like to say that he had a god-awful time, he didn't, because he ended up dying from some epidemic that happened in the prison in the spring of 1900.
Well, we know that viruses swim
Yeah.
through prisons.
So, yeah, he probably got like the Spanish flu or something. I don't know when that epidemic was, but whatever. But Mary Jane lived until 1916, and she never talked about the story of Elva, coming to her again. She just kind of went on about her ways, and I guess she probably was pleased that she got justice.
Yeah.
That her daughter got the justice. And people have always wondered, did her story sway the jury, or was it solely the fact that Edward was acting like a fucking buffoon at the funeral and was not a very good, murderer and was doing really weird shit? We don't know. We don't know if the ghost story is really what actually resulted in this jury deciding that Edward was guilty. But had Mary Jane not taken that story to the prosecutor,
Yeah.
Edward never would have went to prison. They would have left it as a natural cause death.
Yeah, and he would have had 4 more wives that he did this to.
And exactly. And people have wondered, was this all a lie? And she just had that, that motherly instinct that he was responsible, so she came up with this story. We don't know. But it was enough to get a historical marker in Greenbrier County for Elva's death and the unusual court case that followed. And they refer to her as the Greenbrier Ghost. And it's an ongoing story there in West Virginia. But again, it's the only known case in which testimony from a ghost helped convict a murderer.
I dig it. We should partner
and that's our story. I know. Again, my ghost would just they would make fun of me the whole time. They'd be like, "She looks like such an idiot."
Look at this
It's
girl
great.
walking in here carrying her dolls. You want to go back to the playground, little girl?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I love it.
So, do you have questions?
I do have a few questions. Bring them on.
Yeah. All right, it's their time to shine. Let me get this pulled up. That was a good one. I enjoyed it.
I love
Well,
ghost
where
stories.
is it? I do too. I told you I would find one. True crime and murder, and the ghosts solved their own case.
It's a mix of it all. We get everything.
It was Okay, can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ladies. What you got, Ash?
Okay, so I need to know, first of all, did he kill his second wife?
Oh, yes. So, did Edward kill his second wife? He did.
Hoo-hoo. Okay.
I just want to know, did Elva really appear in apparition form for her mother? She did. Did you hear that? She
Yes.
did.
Yes.
Did she really turn her head plumb backwards? Really? Did you hear that? Really?
Wow.
She did.
Holy cow, you guys are on point today.
They are like, really, she did.
Was it the ghost that swayed the jury?
Yeah, did the ghost story sway the jury? Yes.
Do you guys think he's a monster?
Yeah, do you think he's a monster? Was Edward a really bad person? I couldn't make any of that out.
Nothing. Was her mom relieved when he was put in jail?
Yeah, was her mom relieved when he was put in jail? I heard yes.
You guys are getting quiet.
Did Mary Jane ever see her daughter's spirit again after the trial?
That was my next question.
Yes, she did.
That's freaking awesome. Hopefully on better circumstances.
Yeah, I hope so.
And her head didn't
That'd
spin.
I hope not.
Yeah. I think that's all that I got. That was a good.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
I don't know what they said.
I heard something at the end. I don't know what it was.
Yes. It's hard telling. We probably don't want to know.
Well, I like that we got a mix of everything in that one. That was good.
We did. We did.
Tried to bring it a little spooky. So.
I know.
Yes. So what you guys need to do is you need to go follow, like, subscribe to, we're on most social media platforms. We're trying to get our views up on YouTube. So if you like to listen, check us out there. Follow us on Spotify. We're also there if you like to just listen, like me in the car while you're driving. And we hope you guys have a really safe, fun, spooky Halloween.
Yes. Yes, and be rooting for psychology for the chili cook-off, please. I know you all love stories about my mom, but we know who you're really here for. Like,
housekeeping is going down. You're on her side, okay?
Yes, and social work at this point.
Yes.
And security. They're all going down.
Security.
Security, yeah. All right, bye, doll babies.
Bye.